So as y'all can see, a lot of these zones right here are desensitized, and what that means and the reason for it is because of sun glare and different things that are causing false calls at this intersection. All right guys, we are pulling up to the intersection in question now, and the complaint here is that they're not getting the green light in these two left turn lanes that I'm pulling into now. So let's see, after those guys clear out, we should get the green light. Let's see if we don't and if it will skip us or not. And we did get the green light. So let's still go pull up to this cabinet. So we're at the intersection now. Let's go ahead and get this traffic signal controller cabinet opened up so we can take a look at these cameras and make sure there's no issues going on, which I do believe there is, even though it just worked for us. All right guys, and as you can see here, that one should be phase 5, and I do believe there is a vehicle in the left turn lanes over there, and you can see that they are getting no call, so they are not going to get the green light, whether that's phase 5 or 1, neither one's getting the call, and it's going to skip them, but I can lock in calls for 1 and 5. It's going to give them the green light while I look into this camera and see where the issue lies. So let's get the laptop out, let's get hooked up to this Itera CCU, and let's figure out the issue. All right, so as you can see, there's now a call in phase 5, and that's when both of these left turn lanes have a vehicle present on it. So either that outside left turn lane is getting some sun glare and it's not registering vehicles, or the zones have shifted a little bit on that camera and it's now not picking up these vehicles. So once my laptop gets charged a little bit, I'll be taking a look at these cameras and seeing if there's any issues with it. So just got to give it a minute now. Obviously the laptop's dead. Guess it stayed on in its bag when it shouldn't have. Give me 1 minute. All right, so you can definitely tell we're still getting calls on phase 5 as a vehicle is in that left turn lane, but when a vehicle is only in the other left turn lane, they're not getting any calls, which lead me to believe that these zones have adjusted a little bit. Camera on that camera over there, and my computer's finally kicked on. So let me get logged on real quick and let's take a look. All right guys, so as y'all can see, the zones look just fine, but they are kind of blipping, and this means they won't keep a constant call. So if it keeps dropping out like that, it's going to keep dropping the call on that particular phase, and then they might not get the green light if they're not having a call at the time when it needs to be answered by the controller. So let's take a look into these zones real quick. Guys, if you're enjoying this video, make sure to hit that like button and make sure to subscribe. Let's get right back into it. You can see a lot of these zones right here are desensitized, and what that means and the reason for it is because of sun glare and different things that are causing false calls at this intersection on that phase right here. So we have these all desensitized, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to undesensitize these zones, meaning there may be more false calls when there's a little bit of sun glare, but at least these people are going to get answered and they should be able to take this left turn. On ahead, and I've taken that option out of these zones right here, and let's see if this starts blipping and not picking up a vehicle properly. And so far as I can see, that truck is being picked up just fine by these zones, and it is putting in a call, and he just got a green light and he's free to clear through this intersection. Now I'm going to keep watching this and keep seeing if this has a consistency and it works just fine, or if it still has an issue, and then we may change up a few more things, but I think that's going to solve a lot of our issues. Let's keep watching this real quick. All right, I'm going to do 2 things here. I'm going to make those zones a little more sensitive, which seems to have already helped a lot. I haven't seen these guys get skipped 1 time yet, but I'm also going to go ahead. There's a setting inside of this controller. If you hit went to the wrong one, phase data, and then go into number 5, this N-lock and miscellaneous, and if we do this NL memory, we have a 1 checked underneath phase 5 right now. We're going to put a 0 underneath that instead. And what that's going to do, the moment these cameras pick up a vehicle, it's going to put in a call to this controller, and now this call will not drop until it's answered on this controller. And with that being a protected left turn lane, that sounds just fine with me. But what that can also do is also have a lot more false calls that are being held on to phase 5, which may raise up more complaints about that getting a green arrow when nobody's present there. But we're just gonna have to see how that works out, and maybe even get with the community out here, and they can help us judge how this intersection is running and say, hey, we're noticing a lot of false calls and a lot of green arrows when there's nobody there, or they're saying it's running perfect and they're happier than ever. So hopefully option 2, but we'll see. That's what we did. May take the NL memory out or put it back in so it drops the calls, and maybe just sensitizing those zones help. All right, I'm gonna jump back on what I just said. I'm actually gonna put a 1 back underneath that N-lock memory right here. So I'm gonna go back to NL memory, put a 1 underneath phase 5, because I can see a lot of people when they hit the through lane that's beside the left turn lanes there, it's tripping that sensor and it's putting in a call and then it's holding the call. Now I've watched it with the zones not being desensitized, and it seems to be working a lot better than what they were. So hopefully that solves the issue. If they still keep missing the light, then I'll come back and I'll put in that NL memory. I'll drop that out so that it locks in a call, and then they should get the green light every time. But there's gonna be a lot more false calls whenever that happens. But watching this, it's working like it should. Hopefully it continues to work like they should. And I've been watching this for a solid 10-15 minutes, working just like it should be. And hopefully y'all could see me a little bit earlier ago. I bought this little, it's a polarized lens filter for this GoPro so that y'all could see the laptop screen. Hopefully that worked out just fine. We're gonna see whenever I edit this video. And then also for some questions, a lot of people ask me, what's my favorite kind of detection, vehicle detection? And I can't say anything higher than Wavetronics radars. Those things work great, super easy to configure, almost never have issues out of them. Wavetronics radars are by far the best vehicle detection system I've ever worked with, and I worked with a lot of them. They're just by far my favorite one, and it just seems like they have a lot less issues. These Iteris cameras, that's almost half the systems we install of them. This new next system they have rolled out right now, man, nothing but issues for the most part, man. Over just about half of our systems we install, when they work great, and I love them. They're easy, everything about them's easy. But when you have a lot of fail rates, it is the issue of it with cameras. And it's crazy, their older system that used to have the loop cards and coax cables, their edge system, man, almost never issues. It's probably as reliable as those Wavetronics radars. But this new next system they have, and it's all PoE, hard to say a lot of good things about it, but I do love the brand, and they usually stand behind their products very well. Then outside of that, we can almost go back to inductive loops. Once you start maintaining a lot of intersections, you start seeing where all the issues and why you're going out and having to call out all the time to these intersections are, and makes you kind of miss inductive loops because they don't really have the issues besides bad asphalt. Before I could even leave, I had one of the residents that live around this intersection and that drives by it every day contact me and say, hey, it's not only these left turns that are doing it, it's also the southbound left turn lanes that are causing issues too. So I'm gonna do the same thing on those zones over there, and I can see that it's working already, working just fine. So hopefully these left turn lanes keep working like they should, and just kind of raising the sensitivity of these cameras kind of solves their issues. So for now, I'm gonna watch it again, but then I'm out of here. It's hot and I gotta go get ready for work. So anyways, as always, thanks for watching.